Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Megaten Minute. I'm going to cover one of the topics that are most near and dear to my heart, the Megaten Multiverse Theory. I'm going to have to divide this up into a couple different episodes, otherwise, it's going to be the Megaten Mega Minute again, and I don't know if you guys want another 30-minute episode. I don't. Before we get into that, though, let's cover some news. A couple weeks ago, Atlas actually announced, or Atlas Japan specifically, announced three new members have been hired, or three new employees for their studios, or various in-house studios. And they did some short interviews with each one. I'm going to link that interview in the description below. And it's pretty interesting. I think the reason why they're making such fanfare for it is because they're all female staff, they're all young, and apparently they're pretty talented. So let's see how they do. Hopefully they do well. Another thing I want to talk about is the mass cancellation of Take Your Heart Edition and Steelbook pre-orders for Persona 5. Apparently, it's not a mass cancellation according to Atlas. This is just a small number of people, although I have seen at least 20 people say that they've got their orders canceled on Reddit, Facebook, and on Tumblr. Hopefully that number is actually as small as Alice is saying, but this isn't the first time that the internet has kind of gone out of control, I guess, with concern. Another thing that they announced fairly recently is that there's going to be a limited edition PS4 controller skin that comes with the standard edition of Persona 5. And this actually got a couple of fans up in arms about it. And a few, quite a few. And people are upset because this comes only with the standard edition, which could easily be bundled into the copies of the Take Your Heart edition. I'm assuming they're not doing it because maybe the Take Your Heart edition is already packaged. It seems kind of absurd to some people, but really, I think that they're trying to get every edition its own thing. I believe there's exclusive DLC if you did a digital pre-order versus the Take Your Heart edition. You get all that stuff that's in there, and then now the standard edition has its thing, and the steelbook is a steelbook. So some people who like that get that as well. I can see why people would be upset, but it is just a sticker, I guess. The last time we've actually got an official sticker, as far as I can recall, that wasn't like a Vita sticker or a DS sticker, comes from way back in the Digital Devil Saga days, where Atlas had a official Digital Devil Saga skin that came with pre-orders of those games. I actually have a couple of those. I'll probably post pictures of those right here as I'm talking about it, and that's pretty interesting. Try not to be upset, guys. It's just a decision Atlas chose to make. I really think they're trying to make everyone have something special or exclusive. Next up is that they actually released a unboxing of the limited edition Take Your Heart P5 thing, and you get to see a little bit of the build quality as well as the size of everything. The Morgana plush is really small. The bag looks pretty nice. It's not overly luxurious, but it is something that I was going to use as like a gym bag. So it's nice to see that at least it has mediocre quality, and I don't mean that in an insulting way. I pretty much mean that in just a it's not bad kind of way. The art book looks nice, and as does the soundtrack. It's actually more than just some random like 3 or 4 songs like we've had in the past. It looks like it has upwards of 15 tracks. I can't remember offhand, but I'm glad that they're doing that. Next is that the Persona 5 collaboration with a weird AI robot actually has been revealed. Kiburo, who may or may not be a famous robot in Japan, is getting an exclusive Persona 5 version where he's wearing the school uniform from Persona 5, and I believe it'll be available at the Game Symphony Japan, which is like a thing where a bunch of different games get their music played by an orchestra, and it's a pretty big thing. Kind of upset that they actually focused on Persona 5 as opposed to mainline SMT, as Persona Anniversary was last year. This year is the Megaten Anniversary. So I kind of wanted them to do Megaten, our mainline, but whatever. At least I mean I wasn't gonna go anyways. So that's that. The last bit of pretty substantial news that I thought was interesting is that Caligula, the game that was being made with involvement from Tadashi Satomi, the writer who helped write the Persona 1 and 2 games, as well as Digital Devil Saga 3. They are releasing his game in America finally. They announced the release date. It's in May 2nd. And that'll be released in North America and Europe. Digital only, unfortunately. And it's being retitled The Caligula Effect because of a copyright claim on that. The title, Caligula, they have to add a bunch of gibberish, kind of like how Nocturne had to be called Lucifer's Call in Japan. I mean, in Europe and Australia because of the name Nocturne already be claimed. That's pretty much it for the news. Let's talk a little bit about the Megaten Multiverse Theory. And without further ado, let's get into the meat. This is the multiverse theory, the thing that pretty much everyone uses as that way of defining the franchise. This is how everything's connected, I guess. Some people like to use the comparison or the alternate language of the monolith network theory, and I disagree with that. Mainly because the Amala network is essentially just related to Nocturne. It's just the name for the terminal system in that game. I mean, there's terminals in other games as well, but that's not what connects all the games together. And it's not timelines either. Timelines don't connect the franchise. You're gonna find yourself with a lot of loose threads if you try to connect everything using a timeline. And one of the main reasons that is because not every game is connected in a linear fashion. Although some games could be results of certain endings in certain games, i.e., SMT1 into SMT2, neutral ending into SMT2, or some games could be connected in the sense that if something didn't happen in X game, then this game would happen, i.e., SMT1 into, Raito versus SMT1, spoilers, I guess, there. Um, and other things like if nothing in SMT1 happened, then we would have SMT if, and that would bring us Persona. There's ways that you can connect them that way, but that's pretty lean. You can't really do it that way. And one of the reasons why is because that's not the connections that the series creators or even the current heads of the writing intended. And I think you'll agree, or hopefully you kind of agree, or lean towards the possibility that maybe I'm right when I say that there's a couple of things that do connect the franchise. And here are the things. Thing one, all of the games have the Expanse. I can only really think of a handful of games that don't have the Expanse, actually, and that's really just Mach and X. Maybe, I mean, you can make the claim, or you can argue that the Expanse exists in that game. And Catherine. But every other game has the Expanse. Some games call it something different, although in reality they're all the same thing in my opinion. So the Sea of Souls, the Expanse. Shadow World, Expanse. Dem from Demi Kids, the Expanse. Makai, the Expanse. They're all interchangeable language for the Expanse. And that explains why there's multiple demons that exist across all the games. And they all exist via various incarnations. And it could even explain the different designs and why there's multiple demons that have different personalities as well. Because in my opinion, there are multiple versions of the deities as well. So there's multiple Odins, there's multiple Thor, there's multiple Bugaboo. Of course, I had to drop that one. But in my opinion, the Expanse is one of the only things that connect the franchise. The second thing that all the games have is a governing deity. Pretty beefy stuff. And it's it's hard to really back up these claims. Or actually, it's not, because I actually made a 2,644 word argument about why I'm right. It's actually 6 pages long, and that actually makes it in like a pretty intensive topic. So this is pretty much the introduction. I do not want to go into detail just yet. I want to keep this video lean, and I want to weed out the people who don't necessarily want to watch this huge video series. So if you just came for the news update and the question answering, then you got that at least. So I'm going to go straight to the questions. So this is the first part of the series, by the way. I'm going to cover the other pieces of information that I mentioned and why I believe they work, or and what evidence I have to support my claims. In probably, I think it's going to take 3 videos to really make it happen. Okay. So Narla, this is a Reddit question. Narla says, why is Seth, God of Chaos, law aligned in SMT2? I have a few ideas, but nothing concrete. So I think it's probably because Set, because I think that's where his name comes from. I think it's the Egyptian god. It's from that pantheon. Seth became a prominent figure in Egyptian mythology. Actually, there to the point where there was cults of Set. Some of the most famous pharaohs had Set in their names because, like, cult of Set. And that basically became the more prominent form of worship. So in his native culture, he was not necessarily evil because the world needs chaos, just like, that whole yin yang perception. You need chaos and you need war, but you have to have a balance. This is also during a time where Egypt was a little more warfaring, if I can recall my ancient Egyptian history. So there's that, in the sense that he's law in more literal sense. And also he did good things. I believe he killed or stopped a pep. And weirdly enough, he's actually designed based off of a pep. A pep is like a snake deity. Seth looks like a snake, but in Egyptian lore he's more of a fox or a donkey. He's not necessarily a dragon's neck. Um, so it's a bit of a mix up in terms of his design. I think they did that intentionally because of the historical nature. I do know that Kaneko did a lot of research when he was designing these characters, and they're supposed to reflect that. So yeah, Set, who is a god of chaos, literally, is law aligned. I believe partly because of his role in history, not necessarily the literal stance of, chaos cannot be. I mean, a chaos deity cannot be law aligned. I hope that answers your question. Definitely feel free to correct me on my Egyptian history. It's been a while. It's been like 2 or 3 years since that class. So, Red Rupee says, the tone and setting of SMT Apocalypse. How do you think Atlas will handle partners in the future? I probably cut off the part of the question, but they're asking about basically how Atlas handle partners in the future. I hope they drop partners. I didn't really like that part of SMT4 Apocalypse. Actually, although Apocalypse is decent, it's not one of the ones that I particularly liked in terms of the SMT, or what I thought mainline should be. I'm old, so I do kind of see SMT through a lens that's not quite accurate, or not quite as open minded as I'd like to be. So although I like that they're trying new things, I do kind of want them to stay a little a little a little close to the lore, or the way that they built up mainline in the past. I think that for Apocalypse took a little more. I don't know. I guess I guess it'd be something like when you are a fan of a indie band and they go mainstream, and then you start complaining that now they sold out, and now they're just making music to like make people like them. And I know because I was a musician myself, it's not necessarily true that that's not how it works, but there's a small part of me that's kind of like a hipster snob and just wants mainline to stay pure, and all the changes are like too persona or whatever. Not necessarily exactly serious, but I am being kind of honest with my, I guess, my inability to completely accept different things when it comes to mainline. So if you disagree with me, I'm sorry, but I'm just that guy, I guess. Ooh, a question that I also like that this person asked is, what demon is your favorite? Well, to be honest, it's Bugaboo. I draw him quite a lot. There's a couple other ones that I really like. They're typically cutesy. I like my favorite Jack Frost iteration, by the way, is the Devil Buster Jack Frost, because it's funny, it's hilarious. The idea that there's Jack Frost and Pyro Jack that team up to destroy the devil, people who destroy devils, but all they really do is say, "Please don't kill demons," right? You promise not to do it. I think that's funny. So I like that Jack Frost. Digression aside, my other favorite demons are Gog Magog. I love the historical nature, because I think there's like two figures that Gog Magog could possibly be related to. And I like Albion, despite the phallus. I just like the cutesy demons. I guess that's the answer to that. Ooh, another question that jot down the I didn't jot down the question asker, but how do you think Atlas can mix up the formula for their next spin-off title? What would be your dream spin-off? Well, to be honest, I'm open to anything. I really do like spin-offs. I love spin-offs. I love that, just the idea that they can do whatever they want, because it's not mainline and it's not Persona and it's not Desu. I mean, Desu doesn't, I guess, is not quite embedded into the I guess the lore just yet. I mean, it only has two games or four, really, but um I like the idea of spin-offs. My favorite kinds of games typically have Dragon Quest style or Dragon Warrior. Dragon Quest. Dragon Warrior is the old name, I guess. I like that kind of gameplay. I do like restrictive gameplay, like what they did with Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter, which is like that concept that you cannot. I mean, you need to use your dragon powers, but every time you do, you suffer for it, and you can eventually game over. But that encourages you to play it again, and you get more cutscenes that weren't there in the beginning, so you get like more pieces of story. I like that idea. So if they did something like that with maybe you're a fiend or something like Demi Fiend or whatever, but you can't use your negotiation or your powers too much, because then it might turn you full demon, and you don't want to go full demon, I guess. I don't know, something like that. I do like the rhythm games. I love rhythm games. So even though Dancing All Night had not enough music, not enough songs to choose from, it was a really good game in my opinion. If you like that kind of rhythm game. I'm pretty partial to the Taiko Master stuff, but so I'd be happy if they did more rhythm games or some sort of quirky deviant of a rhythm game, kind of like Crypt of the Necro Dancer or something, where you're like dancing through the dungeon. I think that'd be really fun. Um, any kind of weird, quirky, different version of what kind of game already exists. So like just a spin on an existing genre, but really rhythm games would be my choice, or that's my dream. I want a another Dancing All Night, or maybe just a Crypt of the Necrodancer, I guess, because that's really something that I was thinking about while I was playing that game, is how fun it would be to be forced to like traverse through the dungeons according to the rhythm of the song, and you get bonuses that way. And it could be a roguelike, maybe, and maybe you're Jack Frost or something. I think that's really fun. I would play that game to death. And I think that's it for all the questions. I know that I have like 40 or 50 questions. I'm loving that you guys keep sending me questions through Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, Reddit, all that stuff. I love it because it really gives me a lot to work with. I'm going to kind of drizzle them across because I don't know. Eventually, I feel like that well might dry up, so I'm kind of stretching them thin. Sorry. But that's it for the video. Let me know if you liked it. Uh, what do you think about my claim about the expanse and deities being what links all the games together? Because it's quite a claim. I know that it might seem unusual, but believe me, I did my research. And that's just a theory, a game theory. Sorry. I'm sorry. I really wanted to do that. But no. Hopefully you guys don't hate this theory idea or this thing that I'm discussing. I just don't want you guys to feel that I'm going too far or too wacky, because I know game theory is not for everybody. But this is just something that's near and dear to me. And if you don't like it, then I'll probably get a couple dislikes and maybe I'll stop doing them, but maybe I won't. Anyways, thanks for watching. You can subscribe to me on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, or actually subscribe to me on YouTube. That would be the most useful. Click the like button, click the dislike button, whatever. I actually would appreciate it more if you commented with questions, comments, concerns, random statements. Tell me what your favorite demon is actually. Do that. Thanks for watching, and bye.